Hello, welcome to Random Witterings podcast with Michelle.
And Charlie, and we're going to talk about celebrating our neurodivergence. This is Autism Acceptance Week, and it used to be Autism Awareness Week.
Hmm.
So let's just talk a bit about that language change.
Yeah, I welcome it.
Hmm.
Often people know that there's autism. Okay, they get it. They don't need they don't need awareness anymore because people are aware. Acceptance means, what does it mean? What can I do? How can I help?
Yeah.
What do we need? How do we work with each other?
Yeah.
And how do I work with other people?
Yeah.
It works both ways. But yeah, acceptance is about being proud of who you are, loving that there's more representation on TV and film. Um, I really want to see more representation in things like politics. Sports is fantastic as well. There are some fantastic role models out there, and I feel confident that in the future there'll be even more.
Yeah.
And the role models we're getting aren't super scientists and amazing, fantastic explorers and things. They're also normal people, normal parents,
Yes.
normal, they don't have to have won gold medals or anything. It's but we're hearing more from autistic people are just like you. We just think differently.
Yeah. When I got my diagnosis, was a lot of my anxieties naturally went away because suddenly I realized I was a square peg, round hole.
Mm.
And being able to kind of just accept that the society wasn't built for me, that I wasn't necessarily going to fit in with it, actually was a really good step, a healthy step for me to just kind of accept it. So actually accepting my diagnosis and accepting myself, I think has made a huge difference to how I live, how I interact on a daily basis.
Some people feel more autistic after they've been diagnosed or more ADHD. And I think there's a realization of what you do is actually because of autism or ADHD or other neurodiverse conditions. Um, but it's also just relaxing a bit
Mm,
and letting that mask slip a little bit, especially in your safe place.
yeah,
Um,
definitely. But I think it's
yeah.
really, really, really healthy to accept yourself. I think
Mm,
so recently, just after her diagnosis, went through a stage with my daughter where she is like, I have decided I am not autistic.
mm.
And I sort of said, well, that's not quite how it works, darling, but okay. She's just going through a bit of trouble with the accepting of it.
Well,
I know,
ironically, it's change. We
yeah,
don't like that.
no, exactly. And she is, funny story the other day, she decided she was going to rank all of Taylor Swift. She's a huge Swiftie, all of Taylor Swift's songs on a spreadsheet. So she kind of worked out what she's going to do. And then she thought, just to see what it was like, she'd Google Taylor Swift spreadsheet. And the first result that came back was if you're an autistic Swiftie. And she was just, that is rude. The assumptions of Google. I was like, yeah, okay. I think it's nice now. I've stopped trying to fit in.
Yeah,
I'm not that bothered by people that I had to make an effort with. I'm
yeah,
just going to see socially the people that I can just be myself with.
yeah,
And that's been quite useful
yeah.
as well.
And it's not like you were lying before. You're not
No.
trying to pull the wool over anyone's eyes. From a very, very early age, you learned in school not to be the one that sticks out
Mm,
because that you might get wanted or unwanted attention. And so you just develop these subconscious, a lot of it is subconscious coping mechanisms
mm,
just to try and work out how to do things, how you fit in a team in an office, and how how you get by in life. So it's not that you've been lying or hiding or keeping secrets from people. It's just generally speaking, I think, for most people, it's just like an allowance of oh, well, yeah, when I normally do that thing, that's probably because I'm just trying to do because everyone else is doing it. I'm going to be a bit kinder to myself and say, actually, I don't want to do that. I'd like to leave the party at 9, or I actually don't fancy doing that. I want to go home. Or
Mm,
yeah, great, go to this barbecue, but the next day I'm going to have a PJ day. So you just sort of just giving yourself that acceptance.
yeah. I
Yeah.
used to have massive FOMO, massive fear of missing out as a kid, and I would try and do everything and try and fit in, and it just used to exhaust me. And even, even as an adult, I always like, "Oh, there's a party, we need to go, we need to go, we need to go." I don't, I might miss something that happens. And a couple of
Yeah.
weeks ago, my friend had a 50th, and it was an all-you-can-eat brunch. It was so loud in there. I did the 90 minutes there. Then we went to a quieter bar, and that was very nice. And I just suddenly looked at my watch and realized that there was a bus in 5 minutes. And I thought, I've been out for enough. I'm going to go home. And I, okay, so I was home by about 7:30. Coincidentally, at the same time, my husband came back from the fish and chip shop with chips. So I had a chip butty. So that made me even happier.
Mm,
But I just felt like, wow, that's actually growth, because I just knew I needed to come home.
mm,
But I also knew that in previous years, like a few years earlier, I would have stayed out and and actually felt more and more uncomfortable, but just
yeah.
because, oh, what if something happens while I'm not there? And I just thought, I don't care, I just want to go home. And that was for me, that was an acceptance of, it was lovely to not have that pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah, then there's the acceptance from other people. So I know when we spoke about our diagnosis, a lot of your friends weren't that surprised, or were kind of like waiting for you to go for
In
your
the
diagnosis.
right circles, yes.
Yeah,
So my
yeah.
circle of friends who are all mothers of autistic children totally got it.
How did people who had known you for maybe a lot longer, but didn't know you were autistic, were they surprised? Like, oh no, sure you're not, and you don't look autistic. Love that phrase. Um,
Yeah, I had the whole bingo, all
mm,
of the bingo card things I had. Are you sure? A lot. And yeah, and yes, I'm sure, because I spent my whole life diagnosing myself, not realizing what it was, and thinking I was a freak. And then a doctor comes along, and I spend 2 years on a waiting list. I do hundreds of tests, so many tests, written tests,
hmm
um, all sorts of different kinds of things, personality tests, how I cope. I've suffered with depression. All of this stuff throughout my life. Somebody's told me the reason for it. Yes, I'm sure.
yes, yeah. Happiness is
And they
having
are
an
sure.
answer.
Yeah, you don't do an internet test
No,
and go,
and
"Oh, I'm autistic, brilliant." No, you do that test to work out whether you should go see a doctor and start a
yeah,
whole big process.
absolutely. Well, there's nothing wrong with people who self-diagnose, as we said before.
No, no.
It's really arduous, but yeah, it is really arduous,
Because
isn't
of
it?
that
Yeah,
because of that horrendous process. Yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, no, mine was was more my parents. As we said before in the earlier about the kids, mine was, but you're just like me,
Mm,
and I've voiced my thoughts on that. But as soon as I actually just, with my parents, said, "Here is my report," handed it over completely to them and said, "Read it. We'll talk when you've read it."
mm,
And there was a lot of stuff in there that I've probably hidden from them as well. I didn't redact any of it. I just, here's my report, read it. I did the same with my husband, and then afterwards, they just came and went, "Okay," just gave me a cuddle. And I
mm.
think that was their acceptance. When
The
you rid of us.
report is fantastic
Yeah.
because it says, when you feel like this can help you.
Mm,
And you're like, oh, thanks. This is like the manual I needed when I was
it
8.
is. Yeah. Yeah.
um, but yeah,
Definitely.
I don't think I've shown anyone that actually.
Yeah. It's
It's
quite
not that I've hidden
interesting.
it, but I wonder if I should. And it's good to know that at work. So I really appreciate the use of one-page profiles and
Mm,
anything like that where people just be up front. I made a poster that was put up around our office, and it was pretty much just help. This is how you help me to be flexible. And the
mm,
things on it said things like, does it matter if I wear my shoes? Can you ask me by email and in person, or find out which way I like to respond? Um, can we work flexibly? Can we work around hours? Can I wear my headphones? It's pretty much how to get the best out of people by
mm,
playing to their strengths, and that's for everybody, autistic or not. But for autistic people, having some rules around um, when you're working in an office, for example, no hot food at desks, helps everybody. It's just thinking about how you can make your working life flexible
Mm.
in order to incorporate everyone's needs.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that we both agree we're really lucky with the organisation that we work for, or maybe we work for them because of the organisation's been
Pretty
great. Maybe
much, yeah.
they're lucky to have us. But but they are, because of the nature of what Dimensions does, we are naturally more um kind as an organisation with our employees, with our colleagues, to just say to them, what do you need? And I think that's the best
Yeah,
way. And acceptance is actually when someone says, okay, not let me know if you're struggling, because when I'm struggling, it might be quite hard for me to, but let's not get you to the point where you're struggling. So
yeah,
what can we do to make, and Dimensions, I think, has done that really well for both
yeah,
of us.
yeah.
Yeah.
And there's being mindful. Everyone can be mindful of everyone's needs. Autistic people generally, I especially, like to be told in plain constructive English, it would help me if you do this, or the
Mm,
deadline is such and such, or tell me clearly what you want me to do.
yeah.
I really don't mind. Tell me the feedback as well. Oh, when you did that, it wasn't helpful because it could have been more organized. I get that a lot. Um, so, so we could be mindful of each other. So, for example, if I were looking through your calendar, Charlie, and I wanted to book a meeting with you, and I saw that you were busy, but there was a space at lunchtime, I wouldn't book that
No.
for common courtesy, but also because I know that you're going to want that break that you know you're having between this work and that work.
Mm,
And
absolutely.
last week we were having a meeting where people were talking about some sensitive subjects. So I invited them to stay online with me afterwards, just for a few minutes, just to download if they wanted to about what they talked about without everybody else in the
Yeah.
room. So there's just a mindfulness that people can have when they're thinking about how will the other person, how will you best work with them, and if they're autistic, ask them. I mean, most people you can ask, can't you? Um,
Yes.
but yeah,
Definitely.
I definitely appreciate being asked.
I think the whole world would be a better place if we just asked people,
Yeah.
you know, everything, really, anybody,
Hmm.
how do you like to be communicated with? I mean, that's not an unreasonable thing, because even neurotypical people um might have certain preferences,
Yes.
and so actually maybe we can teach the world. Oh gosh, I'm going all Miss World again, like I did that other one.
Yay.
We can make the world a better place.
But it
But yeah.
is it is true. I think like often in when you're in autistic groups, people are just open and honest with each other, and they are there's a lot of that mindfulness as well
Mm,
about what each other needs. If somebody walks away, you know they're just getting a minute. You don't need to
mm.
follow them, you know,
Yes, please don't follow me.
unless you,
I need some
uh,
space.
yeah, unless you know that is what they want you to do.
Mm.
But um, yeah, we kind of get to the point and say what we mean and stuff, and that makes complete sense to us. And I can't really work out all the mind games and the politics and
I've never been able to do the
all
politics.
the
No.
weirdnesses that happens in especially teenage girl circles,
Oh.
or any actually boys as well, but any school kind of
Mm,
environment where the kids are vying for their identity. And we can have relationships, we can have jobs,
mm.
we can achieve greatness, or we might not. We're not all savants, you know. We're not all like Rain Man.
No, we're definitely not all like that. I mean, on relationships, I mean, my husband was my first proper full-on relationship when we got together that lasted more than a couple of months, because I would mask for that first couple of months, and then I'd be like, oh, I could relax now, and people are, ooh, a bit scared of you. um, and he totally was the first person that actually voluntarily ever wanted to live with me, and that was just so amazing. And feeling that acceptance from him was great,
Mm,
because I'd had a lot of problems getting to
yeah,
that point with relationships, because I really didn't understand the rules. I
yeah.
really did. Well, there weren't any rules. That's the problem. If there were rules, I could have probably worked them out.
Or if they
I,
told you why they were upset, then
yeah.
you might have been able to do something about it, and not
Yeah.
just do this guessing thing.
You have to be the cool girl that didn't really care and was so laid back. And I could never be that cool girl that was really laid back
Mhm.
and easygoing and accepting. For
I really am laid back. I'm always very chilled,
mm,
and I go with the flow. And I think it's just because I've got a household of four autistic people. who all have different needs.
Yeah.
Some noisy, some need it quiet, some are sensory seekers in terms of tastes, so dinners, for example, and some need it bland, mild, not touching.
Yeah.
So there's a whole mosaic of autism going on in this house, and I suppose it is either contributed to me being laid back, or it's just it's just lucky that I am, because
Yeah.
that's how we get by.
See, so I'm not, and because I spent so much of my life trying to control everything. I didn't like not things not being in control. So I'm not very laid back. So there you
Mm,
go. Another proof that no, you've met one autistic person. You've met one autistic person. We're very different people.
yes, well said. I've had a lot of people saying how much they've enjoyed
So
random
have
witterings.
I. I've had loads of feedback. It's quite embarrassing.
My friends as well, like, just yeah,
I haven't been brave
people are
enough to
loving it.
share it on Facebook yet, and I know I should. I haven't been brave enough to share it with my friends. I did retweet it, but I retweeted it about midnight, and I don't have that many followers.
Just
And I
hoping
knew
no
that
one
no
will
one would
see.
pick it up. I think I tagged you in it, but nobody even
Yeah.
picked me up. But
No,
um,
I've had so many people saying that they're really enjoying it, and we're enjoying doing
mm,
it.
mm,
Um, and it's so exciting that um there's there's a there's a space here for just being ourselves and just talking, um and hopefully it will encourage others to get up and do it in
yeah,
I mean, there's so many people who are standing up now and saying what they think and how they feel, and the point of that is that helps grow that acceptance,
yeah,
because if you don't understand autism, ask, or find out about it. There are plenty of people quite happy to tell you about it. There are plenty of podcasts and websites and amazing places where you can go and find out about it.
but
And
don't go to the websites where they want to cure it because we don't need to be
oh my
cured.
gosh, no! And do not watch that awful film with Sia. Oh,
Yes, so actually, it appears that people are enjoying our random witterings. So hopefully, they are entertaining, informing, and amusing people. And maybe we'll be back for more
yes, you can join our group therapy sessions online.
therapy. That's us. Yeah.